Let's go, y'all. Welcome to the Frequency Cafe. I love it when you guys join in. It is the kickback, baby. So get ready to kick back. We got a great show today. We're going to talk about the Living Codex and, the return and the resonance. Now, for those of you who know, you know. For the other ones who don't, yeah, at this point in time, it's a little issue if you don't know by now, for sure. But we're not going to fault you or anything like that. In Ohio, it's been snowing and craziness going on. So you get a chance to be inside, and hopefully you can get inward and try to find out a little bit more about yourself. So in all that, you have oversouls, right? Which is levels of awakening. There are some people say there's 7, but I've only encountered 5. But this is not about right or wrong. It's about you not being locked up and remembering. So if we can get to the remembering part, then guess what? Everyone becomes free. And that's really all we want. So we're going to get into it. And before we do, there's one thing we got to do. So let me just get that. My music coming in. Thank you. Yeah, we definitely appreciate that. And if someone could just cue my music for a moment while we get it started. Bro, I know y'all like that. I know that beat. It's mesmerizing. It gets me every time. So, and I'm no different than you. So there's no way you can't like it too. So, but thank you again, Frequency Cafe Live, Mbabu, Ubuntu Elder. We're all about interconnectedness. Finding ways that we can integrate just us to make sure that we are honoring what our ancestors left for us and planned for us and how we should be. And that is like a spider web. We should be connecting with folk who look like us all over the place. Now don't get me wrong, not all skin folk are kin folk. And that means that people who are against us spiritually, not religiously, because we're not that, will send people who don't look like us and sometimes people who look like us, and they're there for one purpose, and that is to try to redirect you from being inward and understanding who you truly are. So make sure that we are aware of the mimics and the spiritless avatars. That's what we talked about on the last episode, which was beginning the new season. Let's go with that. Yes, sir. We just want to get deeper and deeper and help people remember there's no system, there's no hierarchy of who's right or wrong, because that goes away because we are going with frequency and feeling. We're not going with how things look on the outside anymore. That's called the veil. So we get to a point where we see past the veil, and that's where we want everyone to go. Feel me? Right. So if you're in your cars, blow your fucking horns right now. If you're in the office, wrist up, right? Tom and Shadura Sanders made the Pro Bowl. Let's go. I know it's going to sound corny as hell, but he made the Pro Bowl. You know why? Because he is that guy right now, and everyone is behind him, or as you can see, the mimics are against him. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Let's go. And he definitely loves that challenge because it's invisible. He's invisible to that kind of thing. He's in the stratosphere. These people are still on the ground thinking that he hears that. He doesn't. He's here for the people, and he is going to activate a lot of people. So speaking of that, when you meet people like that, how do you respond to them? How do you feel? Does it make you want to get more inward and kind of figure out how this thing is? Do you read more? Do you go more to your elders? What exactly do you all do when you're tired of the religion, you're tired of all the supernaturalism of it, and you want to get to something that you really can wrap yourself around from the inside and kind of understand what's going on? In other words, remember, dreaming, there's something to those. Suppose the dreams were real and what you're living was just your story? What if it was an echo and you're being asked to be activated, right? And you don't know where the keys are. And these are not keys like physical, okay? So when we speak, and again, those who know, we're not talking in the physical. We're speaking spiritually now. So we're talking about things like, and we want to get rid of all the misperceptions. People talking about hell and heaven and things like that. So just think of this. I have a whole book called The Living Codex, and it talks about, the avatar is a hellfire. Now, if you know you're a divine being, and as your oversoul awakens, you begin to feel trapped. That's why you feel so lonely. It's not because you are alone, it's because maybe your partner isn't there yet. Maybe, and it don't supposed to be, of course, because when you're chosen, you're going to suffer, you're going to go through things a lot of people couldn't endure and still rise. So tell me of people who's like that. Okay, you don't have to say it out loud. We know who we are, okay? But in the same breath, there are a lot of times you feel trapped in your own divine compression in your body. And so those who remember and those who know, we know that can be triggering. And it can feel like punishment, like burning, like, it's a crazy feeling. But as you start to remember, things happen. So we like to say, the truth you seek is not outside, it's inside you. It's not outside of you, it's definitely inside you. So it's what your soul reflects. And that's very important. So the truth you seek is not outside of you, it is what your soul reflects. And when you can get, again, clean and pure, meaning get rid of the little lies, start telling little truths, get rid of some of the things you have in the closet that you feel not so happy about, because that could be holding you back as well. You start to remember things. You don't know how, you don't know why, but those things are going to be answered. And that's when you start to realize hell isn't really fire like the old folks try to teach you, because they were taught some, book that was not written by us. But it's not fire, it's forgetting. It's being whipped so much. It's being given things to get you away from who you are, so you forget. And heaven is when the fire becomes light. It's when you finally get that flame back and you free yourself from the tyranny of this oppressor, and you're able to remember. And that's when you get to unlock what the ancients left for us in our DNA. You can't fool the universe. I was talking to my daughter, and I was telling her about some of the dreams and some of the, and not even dreams anymore, it actually happens, so it's visions. And she was saying, well, can you envision giving me the numbers to the lotto? It was funny as hell, bro. We just died laughing. I'm like, baby girl, it's not like that. You can't use it for bad, right? I told her, you can't lie to the universe. The universe always knows. It's really about you. So you're remembering that you're an ancient spirit, you're an ancient soul. You just have to believe it, right? And then your oversoul will start speaking, and that's what we want. We want our oversoul to start speaking to us. So I can stand at the veil and not break through, because it's not something that's physical. You break through, you literally burn through it, right? You burn it away. It's like a cloud, and then a gust of wind comes through and makes it clear, and you see the sun. Now the sun was always there, soul was always there, but you couldn't see it because of the clouds. This is the same type of scenario, okay? And then, you start remembering, you start feeling better, you start connecting with nature, you start respecting everything that you're around. And then you're granted things, right? Certain things start happening. And no one can teach you. Oversoul truth cannot be sold or taught. This is, again, because every ancestor is a little different. There were 12 frequency tribes. So you're one or two, or maybe several of those tribes, but it can't be sold or taught. This was given to your tribe, and and passed down through your grandmothers and their mothers and their mothers. And you're gonna hear people talk about their Akashic, and again, that's not something that can be taught, granted, or bought. It is remembered through frequency. The scroll shatters all mimic teachings and returns sacred records to the flame. That's when you get a chance, an opportunity to really see and feel how it all began. Now, not everyone gets that, of course, but as you get to the point where your pineal gland is clean, because you're not taking in all the bad things and all these crazy foods that are here to block us from understanding our superpower through our melanin from the sun. But the sun heals all, for sure. But you're going through these things, and you have like a burning. That's why we call it the flame. You feel like, man, there's something inside. Something wants to come out. And what it is, it's just your light body activating. The remembering process has begun. Get ready, baby. But now the flame tests the vessel. So if resistance arises, you're going to start like, what's going on? The veil is going to resist all types of things. Remember those mimics that were put in front of you? They're going to start activating as well as they see that your divinity is starting to show. You're not going to use certain words anymore because you're going to start understanding the meaning of them and know that they're spell-driven. And not everyone has to accept that, but they cannot tell us any differently when we share it with them. Again, we're not here to try to be right or anything like that. It's just to share information where you're invisible to us unless you're on our frequency anyway. So this information has to be free because you can't sell awakening and those types of things. You just want to let people know that you're not freaking out. I'm not waiting to become whole. I am remembering I already was. That's the thing. See, we've been broken down so much. People make you feel a certain way, and you start believing that. You have kids, you start making them believe that. You start calling them names that the oppressor called you. And now, generations later, they're still feeling the weight of that deplorable words that you call them to get them activated and motivated, right? Instead of doing it out of love and compassion, and tough love as well, like we did with our children. So it's important, and they're very super successful, whatever success means. We know that they're not stress-free. They live in places where they have quiet, and they don't need anything. That's success. Okay? They're not vain. They're bougie as hell, but not vain. But when your oversoul descends into the flesh, the density can feel kind of unbearable. It's a lot of pressure. It teaches how to hold divine presence without collapse. And that's what we want to talk about in our light body compression guide, just to help you with that. And I'll give you one more before I get off here. And then there's a flame entry protocol. So once this is happening, again, the pain is not punishment. It is presence compressing. It's your oversoul. It's finally back. And it feels a certain way, okay? But crossing the oversoul alignment, it's not a ritual. It's really a frequency ignition. It's kind of like, again, think about radio stations. For my older listeners, used to have to turn by hand, and you could get close to the frequency and you could hear it, but it wasn't exactly the loudest. But once you got really on it, and then it really, really ignited, and it was loud. It was in harmony. We call it resonance. Okay, so a lot of times you can feel it. You know something is going on. You're just not close enough yet. Okay, but you're almost there. So, but this is like everything is protocol. Okay, your first flame of full embodiment. That's all it is. It's the veil weakening as well. And the veil is going to push back. It's not going to just allow you to awaken, right? It's your ego is still going to have a lot of play. The flesh is still going to have a lot of play. And that's what the old folks was talking about in the old days, you remember? Don't let the flesh, don't try to live for the flesh. They were divine as hell, but they've been struck by that Bible, and they were conflicted themselves. And you guys have grandparents. And I have one that's 99, she'll be 100 this year, that was conflicted as well. But she too broke free. And again, you don't break in, you burn through. And so that's why I'll leave you with, You don't break down the veil. You don't shoot it down, anything like that. You actually burn through it. And once you burn through it, you start seeing things as they really are. And again, just remember, it's a lonely effing experience, if I can say that. A very lonely existence. There's no question, okay? So somebody get my music and we're going to get off this thing. And I appreciate you guys again. Frequency Cafe, we're on all the mediums. I appreciate you. Follow me online as well. I'm not that one that's going for clicks and things like that. I am here simply because I was chosen to do this. And we will rise. We will constantly rise. So if this message is resonating with you, definitely come back through. And I appreciate you. Somebody hit my music. Thanks again, guys. See you next time. Definitely hope you come back for more. It's Babu, baby, the Ubuntu elder. Remember, the Ubuntu way, interconnectedness. That's our salvation. We're out.